Hello everyone from YouTube, this is Rebooka1/Noobs, and I'm here to wish you all a Merry Christmas. Since I haven't been making videos for a good chunk of the year, I figured that I should share my experience with college, and from high school to college. A gift of life experience, you could say. I felt like this is all I could offer for my channel this year since I haven't been really doing much other than schoolwork, and I hope that this is helpful for people that are just going to college and people that was like me, who would like to have this kind of advice when they're going to college. I will disclaim that my advice will vary for different schools and also your own personal situations, so if you don't find this helpful, I'm sorry. And also, this is mainly to prepare yourself for the actual college semester. This isn't for any particular class, this is just like an overall kind of preparation. So, now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's move on to the video. Transitioning from high school to college. From my experience, I found that it was easy to go into college from the preparation of my high school. However, I didn't take my AP classes seriously, but I have to go through weekly tests in AP Government, which gave me the idea of what was to come. Hard classes, especially math and science. On a side note, I would also like to say for math and science classes, if there are classes which take a lot of time to memorize and also a lot of time to study, I recommend you try to find out from your friends and also from your counselor to see which ones you should take at the same time. Personally, I recommend don't try to do two classes that takes up a lot of time, like for example, microbiology and anatomy. They are both extremely hard classes and no one should be blamed if you want to take them separately. But for classes like that, they will likely give you weekly tests or something similar to prepare you for the actual tests that you will take in college. I found it ridiculous at first, but you will learn to appreciate that in college it is severely different. You will take weekly tests and that is how your life will be. The world isn't over though, because college will give you freedom in choosing what times your classes are, and you'll become the master of your own schedule. Which is a nice segue to the next topic. Preparation. The orientation of your college may give you the basics of what you need to know, but here are the highlights of what I've learned over the years that proves fatal to how you should prepare for your classes. First, learn the dates of your registration and what classes you need to take. Registration dates are key, and what some of my classmates failed to remember in was their registration date. I almost made the same mistake myself, and I would have gone insane if I couldn't land a spot in my classes, just because I simply forgot what date it was. Remember to check early and mark it in your calendar or your phone. As for checking classes, honestly check and compare your professor in ratemyprofessor.com. It'll save you from having a bad year, and it will be most suitable for your own personal needs, and also it will help you learn more about the teacher. I can personally vouch for ratemyprofessor.com. It has saved me on multiple occasions, and when I didn't know about this site, then I basically just went into this constant loop of like hoping I get the good teacher or not, and I got two bad teachers which wasted my time, and they're not necessarily bad, they're just not as helpful as other teachers that I could have had. Which is, I don't know, the same thing to me. But it could be because you have time constraints and also other things situationally that prevent you from getting the teacher that you want. So that's unfortunate, but at least you get to know about your teacher before you get in the class. Which is actually another nice segue for the second point. Time management. Going hand in hand with registration, time management is the greatest gift and could be the biggest burden. Long gone are the days where you can just stand in line just to get your schedule printed out for you and then complain to the counselors later that they messed up that one class or that the next class is in the middle of your current class. It's now your duty to organize a schedule and make sure that you can make it for those times. The greatest part of this challenge is that it'll benefit only you, and you can masterfully plan your classes to be only in the afternoon if you aren't a morning person, or you can go in the morning and have the afternoon to yourself. If you aren't working, then it's an even greater opportunity. You get to squeeze in classes for a couple days and then still be full-time. I recall even going to school only 2 days a week, but then I had to be there from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Honestly, if you can squeeze it to 2 days all day, it feels great. It's almost like having mini vacations with extra timing for your classes. In fact, this will help with the next topic. Making a schedule. So, my previous point was already time management, but to truly have a hold of your day, you need to make a visual schedule with extra information to help you if you're ever lost. Adding things like your professor's name to the class subject, or even the room number or building that you're going to. So this is the fall schedule of 2016 that I had, and I don't recall which one was exactly 9 to 9, but this one was close enough. I think this might have been the one that's 9 to 9. I don't recall. But so this is the one that I had for fall 2016. And as you can see, it's almost 9 to 9. It was basically like 10:30 to 9:30, and then about 9 o'clock for some extra sessions that I had to 5:25. Now, I wanted to show you this because I found this actually really helpful during my semesters. As you can see, I'm actually looking at this in Google Drive, and the helpful thing about Google Drive that I'll show later is that you can download it to your phone, and then let's say that you were ever lost. Oh gee, what do I have for my math class? Oh wait, it's also statistics. It's at the Math and Science building. Oh boy, okay, so that means I just gotta look at my campus's map, which you should probably also check to see if they have it available to download on their website. And then you can find the building that you're supposed to be at. So in my case, it was the Math and Science building. And then this class was for statistics. So I go to room 106 exactly from 11:30 a.m. to 12:45. Now, the reason why I put the times here instead of just looking on the side is just because it's easier, and also I get to put the exact times, whereas to here on the side, I just simply use it as a guide to how I should block this out. Originally, I made this in Microsoft Excel. Microsoft Office is a great suite. Definitely get it if you can. It's just really helpful with like creating everything that you need for college. But if you don't, then Google Drive is actually the perfect solution for people that can't afford Microsoft Word or Microsoft Excel. And the reason being is because they have their own programs on it. So as you can see for this one, I use Google Drive for a lot of my schoolwork. For example, I use this with group projects. Now, if you had to work in a group, which I didn't want to, but you know, that's college, they're going to force you into groups, you're going to have to try and trade information back and forth. What I did with my theater class is I actually went into a Google Docs, and then I made a Google Doc and sent the link to everyone by sharing it. And then I essentially made this concept for the Glass Menagerie, and then made a play with everyone as we added notes to each other. Now, we don't see it anymore in here because there used to be a bunch of notes, but I pretty much just like finalized it. Everything in here, everyone like let's say they highlighted this, they added a comment into one part, and then they change it, and I made it editable. It's very good for people that don't like, you know, having to get out of the house in certain days, or they just can't, and then, you know, you need a way to get your project done, but you just aren't available unless you are next to a computer in which you can still, you know, contact your teammates while still doing whatever you need to do, and also get your homework done. So Google Docs and sharing it is a perfect way for groups, in my opinion. I highly recommend it for people that actually know how to use technology, but for some reason, most of the time, the people in your group are either too lazy or they just don't know how to work Google. So, for example, let me create a new one. So you can create a Google Docs, which is basically a Microsoft Word, Google Sheets, which is Excel, and then Google Slides, which is the alternative for PowerPoint. Now, I've never used Google Slides, but I could say Google Docs and Google Sheets is actually pretty close. So for Google Google Docs, you can do everything you need to do. You can put in title, make it in the center. So usual is like 14 font with Times New Roman, and then you can do your thing. Oh wait a minute, doesn't it have to be like on the left? It actually been a couple semesters to do it that I had to write a paper. Oh wait, no, it's on the left. So yeah, you can I'm just experimenting here, but yeah, you can do everything that you need to do for a class paper. So like your name, your class, your professor, and I forgot what else, but yeah, you can basically do all the crap that you need to do. Just need to type out your essay, blah 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 blah, and then if you want, you need to print it, then that means you can just go to file, or you can click on this little print icon, and boom, you got yourself your paper. So it's like the essentials of what you need out of Microsoft Word, but then Microsoft Word also has templates that you can use and other things, just to make it easier to customize. But I'd say that Google Word is fairly good when it comes to just typing up your essays the way that you want to. I am not familiar with all of the settings, but I'm pretty sure. Oh wait, here it is. Yeah, I remember now. So like, if you need to make it double spaced, boom, there's your double spaced. But yes, good alternative. I think you can easily write a paper in this in Google Word, and yeah, that's a good alternative to write out your papers. So here's Google Sheets, and then to make it similar to how I made it like this, this is all I did. So like, I made it so that way the left column is time, so that way you list it out. So it's like, what time do you think that you'd have to list out? So like 7 a.m. and then 8 a.m. etc., etc. And then I personally like it when you color code it, so you can highlight the whole thing, not text, fill color, and then make it yellow, because yellow is really bright and it's easy to read the text. And then from here, that's when you put out your weekdays, so like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday, and Friday. And then from here you can list out your classes, like, let's say around like, so you're just starting off with, I don't know, you're first starting off in college, you got English 50. Alright, boom, you got English 50. So you're building, I don't know, like your building is in the quad. There you go, you got your building, and then you got room number, room 120. And then boom, if you wanted to add extra information, you can also put like your teacher's name. And then you can also put stuff like, let's say that if you wanted to get extra help, or if you usually have like a meetup with your friends or your group after, you can put like SI after at, so this would be like 10, 11, wait. So I just realized that I split my time in the schedule in half hours, so I recommend you make it half hours. So this would be 8, and then instead this would be 7:30 a.m. So try to space it out like that, because usually classes aren't like gonna start at 8 and then end at 10. They're gonna end at maybe like 8:45 or 9:10, some weird time like that. I just said like, those in random at a random time. So yeah, basically just put whatever you need to know, and then let's say that this started at, I just realized this is like around 8:30 now to, I don't know, 9:10. Boom, you got yourself your block, and then you can fill it in with whatever color you want. Boom, it's a little bit dark, so let me make it actually a little bit brighter. Okay, easy. See, you want things bright so that way it's easier to read, especially when you're on your phone, and if you have trouble looking for it, then boom, you got a nice bright color to read. So this is starting from 9:30, or 9:30, 8:30, and then it goes to, let's say 9, and then 9:30, and then the class ends here. So the way that I colored it is make it so that way this isn't colored. So this is a hypothetical situation. So let's say that this class lasts only an hour, which usually classes don't last only an hour, so this is completely hypothetical. But let's say that like it ends at 9:30, and then your next class is around like, I don't know, 9:45. So you only have 15 minutes to get to your class. And you have all this extra notes that you want to keep in your box. I've had situations like that before, in which case, if you have empty spaces up top, I would just simply cut it. Yeah, so I would use the cut command and then paste it on top where it's empty. So even though it's you have nothing during these times, at least you know that these will be notes for this class. Or instead of doing it the way that I did it, actually, you could have it so that way you move everything up. So instead of having to move all this text in a weird way and then jumble it back and forth, you can just simply shift the text up into a space where you don't have classes during that time. And let's say that you completely filled it in the middle and then you needed more space. If you have empty space on Tuesday, let's say that like you have no class on Tuesday, you can make like an arrow here and then put the notes here. Basically, try to make it as easy as you can to make the schedule work for you and make sure that you can read it. I'm just showing you examples on how to organize it. And yeah, you can title this whatever. So like you can name the spreadsheet like Winter 2017. Or, it's a little late to try and say that you're making it for winter now, but hey, it's never too late, right? But yeah, for good alternatives for programs like Microsoft Word and Microsoft Excel and Microsoft PowerPoint, possibly, then you can use the Google Online versions. It's perfectly safe. You can even go to File and then export it to the versions that would be available. So like you can download this as a Microsoft Excel. You can even export this as a PDF. And yeah, it's just highly accessible. I think that Google Drive is perfect when it comes to people that doesn't have these programs readily available to them, and it's perfect when it comes to group projects and etc. Step 4. Know your campus. It's easy to forget that you aren't in high school anymore, so naturally, you wouldn't think much about finding your way around campus. Sometimes the campus can be so big that you'll get lost, and eventually you'll need a map. So the easiest way to find around campus is just to prepare once more. If your school offers a PDF of the campus map, download it to your phone. If you remember to put the room number and building on your schedule, then you can make your way around campus without looking like an idiot. Sometimes the map won't help though, so it's better to go before your classes start and ask around campus for help. If your classes start any day between Tuesday and Friday, then it's perfect to go on Monday to check out where the rooms are to familiarize yourself with the campus and also to get to know people. Usually it's best to check with the administrative buildings and ask the desk receptionist for help of where the hard to find buildings are. Or if your school is like mine, then there will be advisors on campus on the first day that will try to help and guide people of where to go. Step 5. Traffic. While you're on the drive to your brand new campus, why not check Google Maps for the ETA between where you live and where the school is? Preferably check something on your phone like Waze so that way you can have traffic updates on the fly and take note of how long it'll take you to get there. It holds true that it's better to be early than it is to be late. Take however long it took to get to your campus, add half an hour to an hour in anticipation for traffic. You don't want to be late, and especially for those test days that you can't make up for. Even if you can make up for it, would you want to? The first day in school. So you just had your first day in class. Everyone's timid because it's their first time too. Try to make friends, and I'm usually introverted myself, but it's usually good to have a friend. Not just someone to talk to, but you can also have someone to rely on if you're sick or if you forgot what day the tests are. This is especially good for class material, because if you have a best friend from high school that's in the class, then you can make up for material that you forgot that day. For instance, you guys can share a book that one has that the other doesn't. I remember my friend would actually take pictures of my book when he forgot his, even for things that you have to tear out like a lab book. You can try and scan it or take a picture of it from your phone, since phones are pretty good at taking a picture these days, and then print it. Find out if your school allows you to print things for free. You'd be surprised on how many things that you pay for in your tuition that you don't even know that you're not taking advantage of. For instance, in my school, I'm allowed to print up to 10 sheets per day, which cannot be double-sided sadly, but that still means 10 whole sheets. That means I can print a whole essay for like an English class, unless it has to be more than 10 sheets. That would be unfortunate. Or it can be like for the lab book, like let's say that you forgot your lab book and then you took a picture of your friend's lab book and you quickly print out the page of how many you have to tear out. And I doubt it's going to be more than 10 pages, which if it is, that's quite unfortunate. It's also worth noting your teacher's syllabus. Adjust your schedule and material accordingly. Find out what opportunities you can to take extra credit or to just get work done early. Another thing is that for material specifically, if there's things that you can avoid, that let's say that you have a friend that can easily lend you the book, then by all means try to save money. Try to make it so that you can share with someone, or if someone, just so happen to have material that they can just give you, then take it. Try to find out if there is free stuff that you can get. Another fact is that sometimes school life can get too hectic, and you'll have to crunch numbers on what classes you can have a little slack on, and you can focus on other harder classes when you do. It's a sad truth, but there's going to be a point in which you're going to be overwhelmed, and you need to figure out how much time do you have for each class, and which class doesn't need as much time as the other. The teachers won't take it personally, but it will affect your grade if you don't know how to handle it correctly. Try to balance out and find the perfect solution. Getting through the year. Classes will have its ups and downs, but the best thing to do is to figure out the patterns of yourself and your teacher. You have your own quirks and hobbies that will take time, and sets the mood of your day. Recall back to the earlier point where I questioned when is the best time that you work best, in the morning or at night. Try to set up your own personal study time within that time frame that you're most concentrated in your work. Also try to find a quiet location for your studies. I personally like sitting in my room listening to my music, but I have friends that can't have any distractions because they easily get distracted from their studies when they're trying to look at their own work. I'm not recommending that you go to some place like Starbucks, but try to find a secluded place so you can focus on your work. So if your room isn't working for you, then go to some place like your local library, or your school's library. Maybe your school's library has rooms that you can rent out for an hour per se. And that's pretty much what I did. Whenever I had study groups with friends, I went to my school's library and I rented out a room for an hour and sat there looking at all the different things I had to do for classes. So check out if you can rent out a room, and it will be the perfect place because not only are you mutually able to meet with everyone at the same time, but then you also have a quiet place to be in without anyone distracting you. Now that you've found a comfortable position for your study habits, you must now study your teacher's habits. Have you noticed anything that's out of the ordinary with your teacher? Pay attention if your teacher emphasizes a certain subject numerous times, because she could be hinting that it'll be on the test, or it could come up later. Also learn from how you study versus what you get on the test. It's probably a bad way to look at it, but just like any experiment, your first test is your experiment of your study habits. Depending on what grade you get on the first test, it'll tell you if you should study more or study differently. Should you focus more on the book? Should you focus more on the teacher's notes/slides? Or maybe it's a mixture of both. Either way, find out what you should be spending more time on so that way you can get that A. Personal preferences. Now, I labeled this segment personal preferences because it doesn't work for everyone, and I'm just sharing what I think is most helpful to myself and the classes I took. If you're having trouble with certain classes, maybe it's best to look at what's available to you. Do you have a sibling that is proficient in the subject? Seek help that's closest to home, especially at home. If your family can't help you, then you should try to see if your class has an SI, also known as supplemental instruction, available for the subject. Keep in mind that SIs are usually teachers that are between teens to adults around the same age, so don't treat them like strangers. They're there to help you and they've been through the same experience. That's why they are SIs. However, keep in mind that SI sessions are both on your personal time. Sure, the SI is being paid to help you guys, but then this is during their semester while they're taking other classes and preparing exercises to help people like yourself. So just if you do find an SI, try to treat them with a little bit more respect because they're trying to help you out while they need to do their own classes. Group study sessions are also a good alternative. The difference is that group sessions require you to not have a personality clashing with anyone in the group. If you know someone in the group that will just waste your time or just doesn't want to be there, don't invite them, or make the tough call of telling them to keep up or you're moving on without them. Again, this is your personal time that you could potentially be wasting because someone wanted to talk about the latest movie or how they wanted to play a game during your session. Don't be a jerk and just shove them away. But they can't stay in the study group if all they're going to do is steer the group off by playing 1 to 2 hours of 8-ball. You need to decide if it's worth it. When the group does synergize, it's the best, because you have peers that you can trust and you can turn to if you need to double check your work or practice a mock test in preparation. Studying alone is also sometimes necessary. I had to stay in a rented room for a couple hours staring at a skull to find out what part is what and then go insane while doing so. While high school has told me several times that I should organize my folder and always write in a pen for college, I honestly never did that. There's times where English classes required me to have a pen for my essays, but for the most part I just wrote in pencil, because if I need to keep it, I mostly type in the computer. And if you really want to ensure that you'll never lose it, you'll put it in Google Docs. But basically, just if you ever want to not lose any of your notes, retype them and then put them in Google Docs. And even if your computer magically just destroys itself, or if you got a virus, then you can always log into your account in like your local library or your friend's house and then just be able to pull out your work from there. Or you can also just be rich and then just have a laptop and then type everything out from the beginning. When taking notes for classes, sometimes you won't understand subjects at the moment, but later on you'll finally understand what that subject meant, and it's those moments where it's best to look back at your notes and then rewrite them with your own explanations to yourself. Because no one understands yourself better than you, and if you never put your own notes mixed in with the teacher's notes, then you'll never understand, and then you'll have to keep going back and forth of trying to understand what those notes meant. Endgame. Now I'm calling this endgame because this is pretty much when you're close to the end of the semester and you're about to take your finals. Firstly, don't sweat and stop browsing the internet when you should be studying. Secondly, it's best to keep an attitude that you're still in the beginning of the semester. It sounds strange since this whole video is pretty much trying to make sure that you're prepared for everything and then you're so tantalizingly close to the end. But it helps to keep that attitude so that way you're more focused and then you're able to not slip up. No more stupid excuses like senioritis, and keep your morale up. The moment that you think that it's always the beginning, you'll treat it as important as you did in the beginning. Even if you're worried about the final, you still have the motivation of trudging on through this final moments in victory, instead of reveling in the idea that it's over. And that's pretty much the college cycle. Anything more? You guys can leave it in the comments, and that is all that I can offer. Of course there's so much more that I can talk about, but there is just so much that you can cover, and I merely wanted to point out the basics of what I thought helped me transition between high school life and college life. So, I don't know, maybe someone will find this helpful, maybe not. Either way, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video, It's probably the first video that I wrote a script for, and I honestly hate using scripts. But anywho, thank you for watching. I hope you all have a Merry Christmas, and this is my gift to you. Hopefully there is more content on the way, but I'm just unsure. And like always, I'll see you guys in the other side.
Didn't we have some fun?